Hey guys, welcome everybody to day 34 of the trading marathon here on this channel. My name is Daniel, and in today's video we are going over all of the Elliottwave price targets, which is a very theoretical knowledge, so you should just pull out your physical notebook and write all of that down, or you make screenshots, but I actually highly recommend you write it down in your physical notebook so you really, study it by heart, so when the situation comes you already know it and don't need to pull out some screenshots and figure it out. So I'm giving you all the knowledge very nicely prepared. I have written it down in my notes. I didn't trust any AI on writing that. I wrote it all down for you. Well, before we start into today's content, let's go over the topics that we have left for the upcoming days until the final day 42. Well, in today's video we're discussing the price targets. Then in tomorrow's video we will go over all the combined Elliottwave knowledge that we have gained so far until then, and we will basically start doing an analysis on any chart, any time frame from scratch, and I will show you how to actually do the analysis if you have no clue what has been going on and you just start from scratch, counting the waves and marking the important stuff. Then afterwards we will discuss the smart money concepts, and then there will be a practice video about every single one of them. And in the final day, the day 42, we will discuss how you can move on with that knowledge, how you can proceed, how you can better yourself, and how you can plan your next steps on your trading journey. So let's go straight into it, guys. And I don't expect you to remember all of this, but just listening to it once. So maybe that will be a video which you will need to watch a couple of times, or really something that you always need to have somewhere prepared next to you, because you always need to know the price targets and also the waves which can happen, the wave patterns which can happen in the certain wave types. Well, so let's go over it. This is written out for a classical impulse, okay? So what we're going over are the price targets for a classic impulse in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and also the waves which can happen within this classic impulse. So the wave 1 obviously has no price target since it's starting the movement, so you cannot know where it's going, and it can be a leading diagonal or a classic impulse. The wave 2 usually goes between the 0.5 and the 0.618 retracement of the wave 1, but it can go up to minus 99%, so it's a bit of a tricky thing. You will really need to measure the smaller wave targets within the wave 2. So if you, for example, see an ABC forming, you can measure the wave C target to get an exact target for the wave 2, but usually it's going between the 0.5 and the 0.618 retracement of the wave 1. The wave 2 can technically be a zigzag, a flat and a 333, but the most important thing is it cannot be a triangle. Just remember, the wave 2 cannot be a triangle, okay? I also wrote it down in thick letters. The wave 3 has the minimum target of the 1.618 trend-based fib extension, but you must remember this is only for a classic impulse. In a leading and ending diagonal it's not necessarily like that, okay? But in a classic impulse that's the minimum target, and it can also even hit a 2.618 or 3.618 depending on what is the overall target or in which wave we are overall in, And the most important thing for a wave 3 is it can only be a classic impulse. It cannot be anything else than a classic impulse. So the wave 4 and 1 must never overlap within a wave 3, okay? The wave 4 can maximum extend to the 0.5 retracement of the wave 3, but notice one tricky thing. I must add one very tricky thing to that, that you must always remember. Look, the wave 4, it can only go until the 0.5 retracement, but let's say the wave 4 is a triangle. Then it can be tricky, because the rule per definition, it says the ending of the wave 4 must not go below the 50% retracement. But if we have a contracting triangle which is getting smaller over time, it can be that the wave A of this triangle is very drastically and goes below the 50% retracement, and then it's getting smaller and smaller and it pendles out until it is in the middle at the 0.5. So that's something you must always remember. In a wave 4 it should not go below the 50%, but if there is a triangle, obviously the wave A and C can go below, because the ending of the triangle will be the E wave, okay? So always have that in mind, it's very important. Yes, I mean technically the wave 4 is a time-wise long and time-consuming, but price-wise shallow correction, except this is the triangle, then obviously the A wave of the triangle will not be shallow. but the end will be shallow. But so just that you are warned. Actually, all corrective waves are possible within a wave 4. Zigzag, flat, triangle, triple three. It's really annoying. Wave 4s are really annoying. And the wave 5 usually goes between the 0.618 and the 100% extension of the wave 3. Or you can also, as another target, take the wave 1 as a measurement tool, like with the trend-based tube extension, and then add it to the end of wave 4, and it will most likely go to the 100% extension of wave 1 if added on the end of wave 4. So what that means in other words is that the wave 5 is usually as long as wave 1. Yes. And it can be an ending diagonal or a classic impulse. So that's, I think, everything you need to know about the classic impulse of itself. So let's go over to a classic ABC, a zigzag, the price targets of that one. The A wave has no price target. Since it's starting the correction, you can never know, how the starting wave will happen. You just know it in the bigger context. So you can expect on a bigger time frame where now an ABC would go, and then you can estimate how it would approximately go there, but you have no target exactly for the A wave. The B wave is very tricky. It goes between the 50% and the 61.8 retracement level, but it can actually go everywhere. The B wave is such a tricky thing, it can even undershoot, overshoot. The B wave is what you want to avoid as a trader, okay? It can actually also occur in every single way, corrective way. It can be a zigzag, a flat, a triple three, a triangle, it can be everything. It's very annoying. Same as the wave 4. And the targets but the nice thing within an ABC is the C wave. Yes, the C wave is actually what you would possibly consider taking a trade for, since you can measure the target nicely, and it is going there within an impulse, like it can be a classic impulse or an ending diagonal, and it's going at least the same length of the A wave, or even up until the 1.618 extension, the trend-based tube extension. And what you must know is there are also truncated C waves, but they are very rare, like 10% maximum. 5, 7, 8 truncated C waves are rare, but they happen. Yes, I think that's all for the ABC. So let's go over to the WXY, and also within that in the WXYZ, because it has the exact same targets and exact same rules, so to say, just that the WXYZ has 2 waves more. But the wave W obviously has no price target since it's the first wave. We discussed this already in the previous, like 10 minutes. And it can happen as a zigzag or a flat. Very important is it cannot, also it can happen as a triple three, but it's rare. A triple three within a triple three is not so common, okay? But zigzag or flat are the common things to happen in a wave W here in this case, and it cannot be a triangle. It must not be a triangle. The wave X usually goes 50 to 61.8 retracement of the wave A, but it can actually do everything. It's like the same as in the WXY, it can undershoot over, but it usually doesn't. Okay, more likely than not, it doesn't. Where there is also one tricky thing about the X wave. It can be a 3-wave move, but it can also go as one very small and quick impulse. But very small and quick, so man, I want to show you that on a chart. For example, here in this case, can you remember we're expecting a WXY to the upside? And right now, honestly, I expect this X wave not to happen as a nice 3-wave move. I would expect it to happen like this, wiping out the stop losses and then a nice 3-wave move in a Y wave. So always remember that an X wave, it can do 3 waves. It can also just go within one small impulse. Not one strong one, it must not really make another low or something, it would destroy the pattern. But an impulse to the 50%, 61% retracement, and then the Y wave, that's something you see commonly. So remember that. Back to the sheet here. Well, even a triangle is possible in an X wave. Everything is actually possible in an X wave. It's an annoying one. Yes, it can really do everything, I tell you. X wave is annoying. But in this case, I believe in the impulse based on what the Bitcoin is doing, because I expect a wave 5 there. It cannot really differ from that. The wave Y has a target between 100% and 1.618 trend-based extension of the A wave. So I'll show you that one on the chart. So let's assume the W is done and we get the X wave from here. So you take the trend-based tube extension, same as for the ABC. you go from starting point to ending point and then to the point of where you expect this X wave to happen, and you will get this target area. So that's how it's done, guys. So obviously you cannot know beforehand where this wave exactly is going to top and where this wave exactly is going to bottom. That's why sometimes I move the boxes. Not, you know, like in the moment when we are there, then I obviously know exactly where my box is. But beforehand, like before we even played out the W and the X, I cannot exactly know where the box is. But once it's done, I know it exactly. And once we are in the box, I know it exactly. But so very much beforehand, it's just an estimation. So know that, guys. Well, that was all for the WXY. So, I mean, the same thing repeats in the second X wave and in the wave set. So usually the second X wave goes between 50% and 61.8 retracement of the Y, but it can actually do everything, even under overshoot. And it can be a zigzag, flat, triple three, triangle, all possible. It's as annoying as the first one. And the wave set, that's a wave you can again measure nicely just by taking the 100% extension of the W wave or the Y wave. Yes, it's just, you take the same measurement that we just did and you apply it on the last wave and it's done. Yes, and it can be a zigzag, flat or triple three, and it must not be a triangle. It cannot end with a triangle, okay? Just know that. Well, last but not least, we have the price targets for the triangle itself, okay, but please take it with a pinch of salt. Never trade within a triangle. If you know it's a triangle, please don't open any trades. It will harm you and it will take your money. I tell you so that much. So I just really give you this information so that you have a complete package of knowledge, but not so that you go in and trade within a triangle, okay? So the A wave has no price target as always. It can be a zigzag or flat. The B wave usually goes 61.8 to 88.6 retracement of the A wave, but it can actually do everything, even under or overshoot. And all the other waves have also the targets between the 61.8 and 88.6%, but they cannot over or undershoot. The B wave can. Yes, and I think nearly none of the waves, except the last wave, only the E wave can be a triangle within a triangle. Everything else within a triangle should not be a triangle. But it should come correctively in three ways. So flat, triple three, double XY, no, triple three, more unlikely. But flat and zigzag are the likely ones. Well guys, that was a tough lesson, wasn't it? So today, really, it's your homework to learn every single one of those targets and possible patterns that can happen within the waves by heart. You must know it. It's your most important weapon in this war, okay? If you don't know that, you basically go in the fight without any sword or any pistol, you know? So know this really by heart. At least write it out once. No, write it out twice, write it out 3 times so you really know it. And tomorrow we dive deep into the charts where we start from scratch doing some analysis and measuring some targets so that you get an idea of how you can actually use that all for yourself. And I think that's it, guys. I'm showing you, did I already show you my half marathon from yesterday, 33rd? Here it is. And well, now I'm running the 34th. It was a pleasure. I hope you're doing great as well, and I hope you're also doing great in your running exercise, because it's as important as the price targets, because you cannot do anything with the price targets if you're so emotional and not disciplined enough to execute anything. So really take it serious, guys. I hope we see each other in tomorrow's video. Until then, stay hard. Ciao, ciao.